Okay, everyone. I think we are at the end of the conference, and some words of encouragement for all of you. Before that, can we just turn to 1 Timothy? Can we all turn to the scripture at 1 Timothy? 1 Timothy chapter 4 now. Okay, before we get on with the scripture and also the sharing by our seven brethren, I think it's been very clear that we need to pray for the younger generation, the young remnants, like all of you, like what you have seen, different generation of people serving the Lord and all. But I think before that, we need to get our motives really right. It's very rewarding doing young people ministry because young people, they are vibrant, energetic. You know, you can give them an emotional charge up straight away. Very easy. And for some of us, we have children. So it's always a joy to see our children serving the Lord and loving the Lord and all. But even that, we have to ask ourselves, why are we praying for the next generation? Now, the motives must be clear. We are doing this because we care for the glory of God. And we want to make sure the gospel and its authenticity will be carried down throughout all generations. Especially you see how confusing this era is. You see all the young people flocking into churches. You know, they don't know what they are believing in. And sometimes you must feel upset for this kind of phenomenon. Even for your friends, for non-believers, and for your so-called Christian friends who go to church, who doesn't know what are they doing this. Just going there, enjoying the feeling, the worship, 1-2 hours. You ask them what they have learned, they come back, they just say bonding, team spirit, and all. We are not into this kind of ministry. You think about it, people who really impacted an era, people like Hudson Taylor, you know, the missionary to the Chinese, for 5 generations. 5 generations served among the Chinese. And the 5th generation, the great-grandson, actually married a Chinese. You know, imagine that, you know, nowadays we have parents, Christian parents, can't even get their children to go to church when they're in their teens. So what's the problem? And people are going to church on Sunday, and you see, they lose their passion to even really serve the Lord. They just take a back seat in church, get busy with life and studies and all. So the parents, when they saw this, they are not that upset. You see, when the parents are not that upset over this, this is very upsetting. Our remnant ministry is not about all this. No, we are looking always to pass the baton down to raise people who are more blessed than us. My children, I pray for them. If not them, people of their generation will be more blessed than us, will be more blessed than Pastor Sarah. And then we rise up and pray for this era. There must be clear and strong motive for the glory of God. So we have to think through how to make this happen, okay, by the grace of God. So we turn to 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy, there are very important instructions by Paul for his preacher son Timothy. Chapter 4, verse 16. Can we read verse 16 together? 1-3. Watch your life, again, watch your life and doctrine closely. Persevere in them, because if you do, you will save both yourself and your hearers and the generation after you. Okay, your life and your doctrine. Can we go on to 2 Timothy? Okay, the next book, 2 Timothy, instructions for Timothy chapter 2. Chapter 2, as what Paul instructed Timothy. Chapter 2, 2 Timothy, chapter 2, verse 2. And the things you have heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to reliable men who will also be qualified to teach others. Chapter 3, will tell you why should you do so. Because, but mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be full of themselves, lovers of themselves rather than of God. And go to 14, chapter 3, verse 14. When people are lovers of themselves, not lovers of God, what should you do? Verse 14, but as for you, Continue in what you have learned and become convinced of. Now, you must be convinced of the gospel truth. Okay, the problem with us now is we are not convinced. Why? We are given so much messages nowadays. And you couldn't differentiate what is relevant truths and absolute truths. People going to church, they just want something relevant that make them feel good, solve their problem, get some comfort. They're not really going to church to receive something spiritual from the Lord and then, from then on, live fully for the gospel. So you have to learn and become convinced of that truth because you know those from whom you have learned it. And then chapter 4, verse 3, Paul went on to say, for the time will come where men will not put up with sound doctrine. This will happen. No matter how flourishing or reviving your internet ministry is, you will not outdo the false teachers. The false teachers, they will go right out on the internet. They employ people, full-timers, group of full-timers, right there, telling people about all these messages that make people feel good, half-truths, and all. And young people are being deceived, brought over by hundreds and thousands. I'm not saying what they're saying is not true, but it's half-truths. It's not bringing you to the full gospel, God. And that's why you see these things happening. Verse 4, they will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths. But you keep your head in all situations, endure hardship. It's hardship, okay? You don't think life's going to get better. Every year, it's going to get tougher. It's going to get tougher with you, your loved ones, and the next generation. You'll be confused by a lot of things that you heard. Tougher. But you endure hardship. Do the work of an evangelist. Keep doing it. Keep pursuing divine nature in increasing measure. That's what the Bible says, all right? And then your focus will be right. You'll be not be bothered by those people that are doing all this half-truths ministry, half-truths message, and then buying over people. You know what you are convinced of. Keep your head as an evangelist. Discharge all the duties of your ministry. And then what is the result of that? You may ask. And then what did Paul say? Look at Paul. Verse 16. This is his last experience with the Lord. At my first defense, no one came to my support, but everyone deserted me. God, is this what I'm going to get if I follow you? No. Come on. You are on a mission. That's why this is a remnant ministry. There will be times you'll be disappointed, discouraged, feeling hopeless, especially when everyone deserted you. But if you have spent your silent moment with God very well, and throughout the days in your life, you have rooted and built yourself up in the truth, there comes a critical moment when everyone deserts you. What did Paul say? Verse 17, but the Lord stood at my side, and he gave me strength so that through me the message might be fully proclaimed and all the Gentiles might hear it. And I was delivered from the lion's mouth. And the Lord will rescue me from every evil attack and will bring me safely to his heavenly kingdom. Let's read the last one together. Can someone adjust this one? Can you adjust? Okay. Can you adjust this one? Okay. Can we read verse 18 together? 1, 2, 3. The Lord will rescue me from every evil attack and will bring me safely to his heavenly kingdom. To him be glory forever and ever. Last few words. I won't take more than 10 minutes. Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, you pause this. Okay, still recording. Still recording. Okay, alright. Alright, come. Okay, I'm just going to give you 3 points. When you are praying for the young people, remnant ministry, there are 3 things you need to note. And number 1, you must get your reason right. What are you doing this for? The reason, the purpose. Take it as praying for the Great Commission. I wouldn't even say Great Commission. It's the greatest commission that the Lord left to the believers before he left, extended. Even you look at Paul, he got his reason right. Towards the end of his life, he's left with nothing. Even some of his co-workers left him. And no, he was chained, but he knew the word of God was not chained. And he left all the instructions to Timothy. You see, the instruction is loving. Timothy, don't be afraid. God didn't give us a spirit of timidity, but of love and strength, right? It's loving. But it's pressing also. Loving and pressing. Timothy, endure hardship. Do the work of an evangelist. You saw that? So it shows that Paul is not just concerned of his era. He's concerned of the revival of every era. So my spiritual son, you're going to take over me and then go on with this message to the next generation and bring this depth of the gospel to people's life. So people who doesn't know the reason, they don't care about the depth of the gospel. They only care about numbers. This is called superficiality. You cannot preach a superficial gospel where the world has more profound theory than yours. And then you expect people will go on talking about it in the next generation. You get what I mean? What is true and absolutely true, the world goes around and come back again, they will go back to this gospel truth. Only when this truth is given to your disciples, your next generation, then you know the next generation will get it. You get what I mean? So you must get your reason right. Sometimes I ask myself, okay, is it for my children? So I get my motive and reason right also. It's not even my children. So I applaud people like Chen Ji, Hui Jin, or Elder Wen Gang and Li Wen. They don't have children. They only live for the remnants. They live for this generation and the next generation. Later Wen Gang is going to come. He's leading the service later, you know. So you're going to come. Together we are praying for the remnants. So you get this. I understand all of us having children now, you know, we're concerned, everything, you know, and sometimes in ministry, young people, really very good help. You know, you call them young, single, available, they are ready to help. But no, it's not for that. It's not for that. Even if you are married, even if you have 2 or 3 kids, no, I'm coming into this. I'm joining this, okay? That's what I want to see in Remnant. Then you know, your motive is clear. You really care about the revival of the gospel in every era. So the reason first. And then you must get your message right. And you know your message is your belief. In a remnant ministry, it's not just enough to have passion. Now, Paul have left important teachings to Timothy. He told him, Timothy, you got to watch 2 things. Number 1, you got to watch your life and your doctrine well. With that, you will save both yourself and the hearers. Now, you cannot teach the Bible as with doctrine. Let's talk about doctrine first. Doctrinal truths. Do you think doctrine is important? People say, let's talk about cohesion, throw away doctrine. No, I don't think so. The Bible is full of doctrine. The Bible says, Paul said, watch your doctrine well. So when you get the gospel, what kind of gospel is in you now? Now people say, we are all going to church. We are all believing in Jesus. You know, same thing, you know. Jesus, eternal life, after you die, go to heaven. That's the same thing. I don't think you can generalize things like that. There is a doctrinal truth, even you preach about Jesus. What kind of Jesus? What kind of Jesus are you following? And what is his work? And how does he want you to follow him? So you cannot be listening to John Piper and say, wow, John Piper. And then Joel Osteen, oh, wow, Joel Osteen is good. No? And then come and then Joseph Prince is also good. Cannot be like that. For this, I want you to get it straight. You must be very clear. There must be distinction in doctrines. You get what I mean? So, distinction in doctrine. This will determine how you know Jesus and how you live like Jesus. And I've been saying there are a lot of relevant truths. I'm not against that, but these are just for reference. You know, reference only. I'm more concerned about whether you get the absolute truth, which in you become an absolute principle, unchanging principle in the way you live. So get your doctrine right, okay? Even as you listen to me, no, I'm giving you all the doctrines in my messages. And then get your life right. Your life must adhere to your doctrinal belief. So one word of caution, you may have the right belief, but be careful. The devil prowls around like a roaring lion, waiting for someone to devour, meaning he sets up temptations and draws you into it. I have seen pastors, reformed pastors, with the right belief, falling into sin of greed and lust. So it's always good to check yourself with your doctrinal truth, what you believe. Are you moving along that? And then not only you check yourself with your doctrine, you check yourself with others around you. Are you living the right way? Living your life, you're living the way you lived. Okay? So, careful. Watch your life and doctrine. Then you will save yourself and your hearers and the next generations. Okay? And Paul went on to tell Timothy. What did he say? 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2, entrust the word to reliable people who will be also qualified to teach others. Okay? So even as we teach the Emmanuel message, the doctrinal truths, make sure you can identify people who are captivated by not your charisma, not your friendship, but your belief. You get what I mean? You have to identify. Even your children, you got to look at them, make sure they get the right belief. Young people, I say, sometimes they really give us good feel, If I have a problem, the young people all come to my house and won't take care of me. Probably they will just send me messages and give me comfort, Pastor, are you all right? No, I like young people, very vibrant. But the thing is, you always ask, why are you all knitted together so much? You come a day, you think about it. I asked Lala the other day, where's Lala? Oh, Lala is here. You're 15-year-old now, praise God, And I see all the young people, 15, 14, 13, they're coming together, sleeping together, having fun, talking and all. But you think about it, Lala, after 10 years, will you still want to be around with Caleb? Why are you shaking his head? What? After 10 years? After 10 years, you're graduated, you're so busy with life. Probably you marry early and have children, I don't know, And then after that, you're so busy. What is that with Caleb? Couldn't go out with me. I don't know how to play soccer. He always plays soccer. What for? You get what I mean? So there's no motivation to be together anymore. Why am I always still with Hui Jin, Wen Gang, Ziming, and all of you, in church, lepak? You mean I like the lepak? No. That's because we have one common belief, one common purpose. And the doctrinal truth in us is so clear. And sometimes we know we need each other. It's so clear. The reason to be together, advancing the kingdom, is so clear. It's embedded in our message and in our living. So clear. And the way we prioritize our life, even we need to spend time with family, we know, but the church, the brethren, and the ties are always there. We know it. You see? You get your message right. Everything will go right. And last thing, when you're doing a young people ministry, okay, you must get your example right. Okay, this is the era where young people are learning from everywhere. Listen, no matter how gifted and talented you are or how resourceful you are, don't show the young people all your gifts and talents, resourcefulness. Show them how you persevere for the gospel. How you endure hardship for the gospel. That's why I said, young people, they're learning everything. How to make money quickly. They learn. Some young people learn from the senior pastor. Wow, so charismatic. Learn the way they talk, the way they dress. Then you're learning all these things. It's useless stuff. Show them, show the young people, show your child how you persevere for the gospel. Sometimes you may not reap fruit straight away. You may not reap the positive outcome straight away. But we do the will of God, persevere to the end. And we have peace of heart. And we know the Lord is with us. And so we go on. The Lord will fulfill His work. What goes around, come back. Don't be carried away by the world. No, that's what I always say to my kids and all. Get an example right for them. That's right. Divine nature. And then that is the theme for this time, right? Divine, what is that? Faith, calm, goodness, knowledge, perseverance, self-control, godliness, kindness to your brethren, and love. That's everything. Pursue these things and show them to the next generation. And their hardship, do the work of an evangelist. Example. Reason, message, and example. 3 things. So that's the end. Random message from me. So now we're going to hear from 7 of us. Okay? 7 of us.
Hello everyone. Hi, my name is Alvin here. You all don't know me. So last year was my first remnant conference. Was the first TBRC I attended. So last year I prayed very hard. Pastor won't call me. Because my friend Jeremy said, Pastor should ask you to go up, so I prepared the message. But Pastor, luckily, thankfully, he didn't call me. But this year my prayer went unanswered, so I'm here now. Okay, so I'm turning 30 this year, 30 years old. But I first got to know God when I was 13 years old. I was actually in a Christian school, Presbyterian high school. Not sure whether you all know or not. But at the point of time, I'm from a Taoist family. So I was never attracted to the message. So every time there will be a pastor, every day they will go out to say a prayer. So then the pastor will say, okay, now everyone close your eyes and bow down your head. So then I'll take the time to actually take a quick nap. then in class, sometimes I fall asleep in class, I doze off. Then teacher will call me, hey Alvin, then I'll pretend that I'm praying, then I'll just, oh, amen. Then my teacher will let me go. Then you'll say, okay, Alvin, very good that you have a very prayerful life, but please don't pray in my class next time. So, but anyway, fast forward. But at that point of life, I wasn't really attracted to know more about God. To me, I just depended on my own efforts. Then I actually got to listen to pastor's message during Jeremy's wedding. Jeremy is not the one from Penang, the Singapore Jeremy. So I was really attracted to his message. I find that it was very practical. I can apply it to my life. So that's how I got attracted. I came to Life Church. I joined the cell group of John. So okay, so I actually really enjoyed coming to Life Church now, because I really felt the bread and love, and also there was free lunch So then I started coming, but more and more I got to see God's faithfulness, how God led my life. So I continued to test and approve. I saw how God actually healed my uncle. He actually had a condition. He has this waterlogging in his brain. So because of the waterlogging, doctors say that actually because of that, his whole life will be affected. He won't be able to control his movements. So if we wanted to counter that, the doctor will actually have to drill somewhere down the spine to take out the water sample to do further testing. But it's very dangerous because the spine is actually a very, very sensitive spot. So we didn't proceed with that. We just decided to trust God, me and my sister. Then we actually let my uncle come out. Then I'm really thankful to God to say that today he's fine. Even though doctors say he will be affected for life, but for now he can control his movement very well. He can eat normally, he can do everything normally. So I'm really thankful for God for that. I'm also very thankful that God is very faithful to me. So my family, we used to be whole family used to be Taoist. But then even my dad, who is a very strong businessman, he actually got saved and he actually came to know God last year. And he's now also called himself a Christian lah. And also, even my grandmother, who is very stubborn, she's like 92 years old this year. She's a Taoist whole life. We wouldn't expect her to actually say yes to God. So actually, Esther from our church actually went down to engage her, to talk to her. And she actually said, oh yes, I want to accept Christ in my life. Yeah, so very thankful that even though at this old age, she still came to know God and accepted God lah, and got saved. Okay, so I think that's mainly about me. Okay, so basically what I've learned during this conference is that the world is always changing. Circumstances is always changing. But there's two things that never change. One thing is the world is always corrupted. And the second thing is God's truth never changes lah. So whatever we are doing, be it serving in the ministry or working in the marketplace, we must always, what I learned is to stay rooted to the truth and enjoy our prayerful relationship with God. And to bear fruits of God like faith, like self-control, perseverance, and love, which we talked about yesterday lah. So my prayer topic is that I continue to pray for salvation for my mother, who is a devout Buddhist who listens to Buddhist sermon every day at her home. And also I want to pray to cut down on my distractions in my life and really put God first.
What distraction?
All the prism of the mind, like get rich quick scheme. Yeah. Okay. So I talked to Ellen last night. So he shared with me something that was interesting. So basically, he mentioned something about. I asked Ellen, how do I listen to God? How do I listen to God speak to me? He said that to do that, you really have to know God's heart lah. Like how we know our parents' hearts when, even though we don't need to tell our mother, like if we shave our head, what our parents will think of. We already expect what our parents will react because we know our parents well. So then to listen to God well, we should try to know God's heart by knowing His words and really know the truth that never changed lah. So I just pray that I can get to know, I can block out my distractions so I can know God's hearts more, so that my spirit can be more sensitive to God's speaking to me. That's all. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so my name is Hui Min. Okay, then yes. Okay. So what I learned from this conference is that something that I never thought of it in my life before is that when I read the news, I just read it for like the story inside, like it's interesting, so I read it. But then I never thought of I should read it from God's view. So it's like you read from the God's truth, then it's like from there you can spread the gospel to your friend easily. So it's like I always think of like how you can share gospel with your friends, because it's very hard for them to understand God's word when they are not a believer. So like from the news that you read, you can like somehow relate to their life. It's easier because it's like someone's past experiences. It's like real experiences, then they can understand it better. Yeah. Then my prayer request is like for me to have more silence time. Like when I have free time, I tend to like just use my phone and do like whatever thing I like. Yeah. But I don't really thought of like I can use the time to like worship God, or like I can use the time to pray to God and talk to Him more. Yeah. So it's like the phenomenon, like the act busy kind of thing. So it's like lesser time with God. Yeah.
If you stay up there, I'll ask you something. Yeah, sure, I'll ask you something. Okay, what makes you want to come for the camp?
Because my mom signed up for me.
After you come, okay, after she signed up for you, how do you feel? Reluctant?
Just come on.
Just come. Is it the camp happy?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, will you come again next year?
Yes.
Your prayer request is to have a silent life. Okay. And okay, what are you doing now, everyone?
Working. I like work at this childcare for full time for last week. Started only.
Okay, so how do you intend to glorify God in this childcare center?
Actually, I'm quite reluctant to work at this center. So it's like I have a previous childcare center which is a private one. Like the life there is like much more happier with the staff there, the colleagues there. They are like all like 30s. Then you can talk and share life with them. They willing to hear and listen to you. But then this childcare is mostly like aunties. Then okay, no offense, but yeah. Yeah, but then they are just not as friendly. Like when you pass by them, they somehow like see you are there. Then when I smile with them, they like never see you like that. And then yeah, then the culture there is like not something that I really want. And like the teachers there also like a bit, how to say, like very like must have equal workload. They don't share. Like they very 计较 in a way. Yeah. So it's like the first day I went to work, I was like very sad. I very refused to get into the workplace. But that was a Friday. Then the next week, which is this past week, I went in with a like how to say, like, adjust my emotion. Like I was trying to convince myself. Like I went in with like I tried to adapt and see how. Like after the Friday cell group, yeah, Han Hong taught me like what I should do lah. Then like I go in with a new mindset and I try to like the people there. But then yeah, it's better. It's like everything is fine, but it's still the mindset that the people there. So I was not sure like what God want me to learn from it, but I still like finding it.
Any answers you received from this conference in relation to what you're facing now?
I think it's the new mindset cause I always start with the mindset that like everything is easy. Like I never been through with like a lot of experiences that like you need to try tougher things, then you need to overcome something that you don't like lah. Yeah, then it was a point that I realized like through this conference that I get in with a new mindset. Then I should put down the mindset that I'm not okay with the environment. I should like just let it go and try like as if I don't know the center and then try to see how it works.
There's nothing wrong with the new mindset, but the new mindset must come from the truth. The new mindset is God is with you wherever you are. That's the truth. Okay, if this is the childcare that God has for you, just go. Even if you don't know whether it's for you, go try it out. Okay. Don't worry about whether you make it or not. It's not about what happens in front. It's about now God is with you. That's the Emmanuel truth. Right? God is with us. Emmanuel truth. And if the goings get tough, and your hardship as discipline, God is training you. Alright? You will definitely learn something from that. Even if the auntie ignore you. Okay? Believe that. You can go for it. Okay? Alright? That's a new mindset. Your new mindset must have the truth. It's not just a comforting mindset. The world will have a comforting mindset, see things from another point of view or whichever. I mean, the truth of God encompasses this also, but you must have the absolute truth first. God is with you, okay? Wherever you go. Alright, maybe. Okay, that's all. Okay, next one. Kathy.
哈利路亚！
Hallelujah.
感谢神，
Thank God.
感谢神，再一次给我机会顺服的一个行为。
He has given me the opportunity for submission once again.
因为说见证真的是，说100次也会紧张的，因为就是知道是一个要荣耀神的时候，不是说紧张， 在荣耀神，而是真的要把最好的 glory 给他。
No matter how many times you share testimony, you'll be anxious because you know you are going to give the glory to God.
OK， 所以感谢神，还是可以站上来荣耀我们的主。其实是觉得很奇怪，为什么我的身份会在这个营会，甚至是在上个月的营会 Children Camp 跟这个 Camp， 因为
你的身份
啊，因为不是身份，而是我
为什么会 attend？
是因为我是一个单身的，我没有孩子，我也不是孩子。所以我会 attend 这两个都是孩子，然后青年人的、青少年的这个 camp。
I'm amazed why as a singer I will attend the kids gospel camp and also the remnant camp this time.
那当然是因为吉隆坡的教会 Bless House 那里，他们鼓励我参与，而我就看见了，因为我是在今年1月份开始在 Bless House 开始学习36课。
Okay, I'm from Bless House in KL, so I've started learning the 36 lessons since start of the year, and I was sent to attend the conference by them.
所以他们鼓励我过来，我就凭着相信跟顺服的那个心态就答应了。
So I come with mindset of submission.
那在这里的话，头2天就是昨天跟前天学习到的，有几点的东西，就是如何真的是在神的话语里面看见神的属性，然后也可以分辨自己的心态是在哪里，自己的生命怎样把神的生命是 divine godly life 活出来。
And through this, I learned a few things. I learned about the divine nature of God and how to live my life pursuing this in accordance to this.
再次看见那个从 faith 直到 love 之间，其实有很多的过程，然后其实最终的目的就是跑到神起初创造人的那个爱，回去那个爱那里。
Especially the process from starting from faith to love. Most important is how God has created us. In fact, He has created us to be like that, since the beginning.
好像刚才慧玲也有学到，传福音的时候是如何的把那个生命传出来，其实就是当我们活出，那个有带着神形象的生命，就不需要去你要信耶稣，不信耶稣你就可能上不到天堂，而不是这样子去传，是靠着生命的见证，生命彰显那个爱是从天而来的爱。
Like Sister Women say, it's not about telling people just about heaven and hell, but evangelism is living out the life testimony, the love testimony.
还有第2点就在那个常常要提醒。在生根建造那里。
And also on the part of being rooted and built up in Christ.
那3个部分是真的是给自己很大的 comfort， 就是 time, trials， 还有 reputation。
And especially the part of time, trial, and repetition of both.
是给自己很大的一个鼓励，因为看见其实那么多年来，从还没有认识主到认识主了，然后还是。有很多的 struggle 在那个分边里面，世界跟在天国的那个心态里面，还是不断的有很多的挣扎。
Message gave me a lot of encouragement because I've accepted Christ for quite a long time. I'm still struggling between the world and following God.
所以是看见了，其实都在经历着，神还是在带领着，所以神的同在是很真实、很确实的。
So from the message, I know that God is still leading me, and His leading is so real.
所以感谢神，我们继续一起生根建造。
We'll go on together in this race.
OK， 然后昨晚就是在那个 deep prayer 跟怎样去看见神的answers 那里。
Yeah, and that's the message of deep prayers and clear answers.
其实现在我的 prayer，我也没有去看神有没有去成就什么，我是在 enjoy 里面，所以昨天的答案是那个 yes 的其中一位。
Actually, I'm not looking out for what the Lord is fulfilling for me, but rather I'm focusing on how to enjoy my prayer.
那个 enjoy 不只是有交托的事情，更重要是真的是。好像沉浸在他的怀抱里面的那种，就总之睡前睡醒过后都感觉到很亲密的关系是， 给他说几句话，然后起来，然后再继续做正式的祷告，这样子。
So enjoying to me is not just entrusting your problem to God, but really feeling the intimacy with God as you wake up and talk to Him and all.
所以这也是很感谢神啊，因为是没有压力之下，是更加看见他的同在，也更加看见他更深的爱。其实他是爱着自己很深很深的。
Because of that, I saw that it's no pressure in prayer. It's just about seeing His love for us, which is very deep love.
不过也提醒自己啦，往往也会有一个可能会很忙的时候，或者是失望的时候，所以也提醒自己再回去看见自己的身份是在神里面的眼中的身份是他的女儿，还有自己在地上的一个身份，那个role。
Of course, the reality is I'll still be busy and then discouraged at times, but it's always about going back to God and realizing my identity in Him.
Amen。然后还有一个很好的今天早上的吧 ，Lean on the side of truth。
This morning, leaning on the side of truth.
呀，所以那个也是抓紧的。然后刚刚的 message 那三样也是，不断为着我们的世代，不论是年轻人，那也是主要是 focus 在年轻人，可是为我们每一个或者成长中的在神的话语里面成长中的年轻基督徒、中年基督徒，还是甚至是牧师这方面，我们都是为这几方面祷告。然后因为现在的 media 方面，我也看见了，其实是很，如果negative 的想法是很恐怖。
Yeah, especially on the message, it gives us good reminder whether for young people, middle age or old age. Especially nowadays, if you look at the media, it's very frightening.
如果是好的方面，就是当我们抓紧神的真理，我们可以用好的方面去看、去祷告、去利用、去学习在那方面。
Of course, on a positive note, the media help us to learn and improve ourselves in a lot of ways.
我相信牧师应该会说没有 positive 跟 negative， 因为在真理里面。
Yeah, of course there are no positive and negative. In Emmanuel, everything is good.
Amen。感谢神。荣耀归给他。
你有什么要我们为你祷告的吗？
我有祷告。
Any prayer topics?
更加深根，更加建造。
And to be rooted and built up in Christ. Wait. Anything you want to ask?
我很长哦，还要问。
是我问。
OK。
问。Aaron 问一个。
哇。
KL Lectures 不是 KL Lectures， 是 KL Bless House 问一个问题。慧君传道问一个。
哇哦。
他讲 rooted and built up in Christ。他讲具体的，他的意思就是说rooted and built up 这个是圣经的话没有什么具体的 root， 哪里 root？
具体的很好的 memory 去记得圣经的经节，不只是中文，还要英文。
Good memory to remember the words of the Bible. Okay. Are you okay? 我问你一个 ，Are you prepared for trial after you go back from here?
Yeah.
Really?
现在我感谢我那个感觉就是，如果有 trial 是有一个恩典在当中的，可以去看见的。
Praise God. Prepare for trial. Okay. Another one. What if the trial come from your own church, own people? Maybe Aaron is going to give you a trial on the way back.
Pray. Pray.
And then after you went back to KL, Grace is going to give you a trial.
OK， 其实这个如果讲教会或者是朋友或者这一个 group 之间的，我都有面对过了。其实不过我会祷告了，然后我会说出来，我会要求大家一起把问题说出来，然后就在当中看神怎样带你解决。
Let's say after you set up your problem, 你已经说出来了 and people disregard you, and then because I tell you, it's if you have been a Christian for very long, You know, people are hurt in the church. This is a reality. So if you can go through this with the gospel, then I say you are a remnant. You cannot go through. Okay, some people say, I'm hurt by the word, never mind. But I cannot be hurt by Christian. Okay. Are you prepared for the kind of trial?
Yes.
Praise God. Okay, give a big clap.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Kaisi. I'm 17 years old this year. And so actually I'm quite shocked that I was asked to present. Because at first I wasn't even planning to come for this conference. So for me, right? Yeah, so for me, basically, normally I'm most touched by the topic on the deep prayers and clear answers. So for me, at first, it's like I'm the kind that when there's no like trials, there's no obstacles that I face, then I would be very like a bit 随便 lah. Like yeah, then I don't really feel the urge to pray that like continuously. Maybe not a lot, but maybe once in a while. Then sometimes when I face like a lot of obstacles such as like interpersonal relationships or many different like schoolwork in terms of those kind of trials, then I would pray more intensely lah. But I feel that actually this is quite not a really good cycle because it's not very doesn't show that I really have a strong relationship with God. That's why this time after pastor's speech about the deep prayers, I feel that this really touched me, especially on the point on if God did not make things harder, then you will not be able to see deeper. Yeah, so for that one, it's basically it touched me because right now it's like one of the obstacles that I face is about like a group project that I'm currently doing. Then so for this one is so currently I prayed a lot for this project because it actually means a lot to me. Then I told God, please give me a good group such that we can have good team rapport and we can work together well. Then yeah, I prayed really hard for it. Then in the end, okay, so sorry. So when I got my group, at first everyone was quite cooperative. Then after a while, I realized everyone didn't do anything at all. So we had this report that we had to submit, and recently then I was the only one that completed like 3/4 of it myself. So I'm quite stressed by this. So I keep praying to God, but sometimes I feel the frustration because I don't know why God gave me this group after I really prayed so hard. But after yesterday's message, I really felt that maybe God has His purpose for me by giving me this group, and that maybe through this kind of trials, maybe I can build a better connection with God. And through this, maybe I can learn not to put my sight on the worldly things, such as possibly the result for the report, but more on God instead. Yeah, that's all.
Any prayer topic?
I think generally just because I feel if I were to rely on God better and more to a greater level, then maybe it will be better.
Relying on God. Okay, I see you just shared something that you prayed and then God deliver otherwise, right? How many times can you give me how many times when you pray, you ask for something, God answer your prayer according to your ideals? And out of 10 times, how many times God answer to your ideal? And how many times not to your ideal, like this case?
Maybe 6 times out of 10 God answer my prayers. Then the rest.
Okay, so for 6 times, you get your prayer answered in the sense that it happens according to your ideals. Which is, there's a lot of praise of God, right?
Actually, sometimes when I pray, right, it's in terms of I don't request for something, but I ask God there's this thing that I am currently concerned with, so you let it go according to your wishes.
Yeah.
Not really I want this, but yeah.
As if you hear Him talking to you and He did kind of lead you through. Let's say for instances that you don't see things happening to your ideal, do you really seek out what is the purpose of God rather than just abstract?
I try to seek out what is God's will for me, but I don't know how to receive like answers. Like is God supposed to?
Okay, I give you because this thing here, okay. Okay, the thing is this, okay. I give you an answer for Kaisi, okay. In cases like this, what is it? Okay. When things doesn't happen according to how you wish it to be, and we say from the message, we know that is a purpose of God. But you must know how to hear this purpose, because purpose is very abstract. Everyone will say purpose. So what exactly is the purpose? Okay, so I'm going to direct you to see the purpose. Say for instance, Kaisi case again. She probably in one of the best schools in Singapore. And usually students, you make it there. Along the way in life, you don't meet with setbacks. But to you, maybe setbacks or probably you didn't do well for a test, or you put in effort, you got something and it didn't turn out well, right? So, to guide you through what is the purpose of God when things happen like that, the purpose is always to use your setback, because the world is full of setbacks. Some setback, little setback that you have in life, to bring comfort to other people who have setback. As simple as that. Okay, I'm going to give you this prayer topic, okay? Let's say of 10 prayer topics, 6 of them go well. 4 or 3, sometimes it didn't turn out as well. The purpose is to bring comfort, blessing, and encouragement to those who didn't do as well also. So put this in your heart, okay? Alright? Let this be an direction. And don't be afraid that then, because God wants me to testify, that's why I always have setback. It will not happen that way. Okay, but during critical moment like that, when you are seeking, this must be a fundamental. Because we are living for people. We are living for the gospel. Alright? Okay, that's all. Okay, come, we have a break.
Hello, my name is Felicia. I'm from Korea. 5 days ago, I graduated my university in Shanghai. Yeah, now I don't have any job. So before I start everything, I wanna listen God's word intentionally. So I came to this conference, and also because of my future father-in-law's 推荐, recommendation. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Through this conference, the thing that came to me was silence. Last 1 year, although I'm very busy to to write my thesis and they get all the certificate to graduate or do all the work and study. I attended all the cell group, and then I served the church in the hospitality team, and I set up the student ministry in our campus. So I thought that I spent time with God quite well. But after I graduate, I felt that I'm very empty, and then I felt that I don't have any direction. So yeah, actually this so this December I'm getting married. I'm getting married Singaporean guy, and then I'm getting married. Yeah, and then about 1 year ago we decided to getting married, but actually I planned it. I will get married 30 years old, and then I will have children 32 years old, and I planned everything. But suddenly we decided to marry. Suddenly I met this guy, and then I decided to marry. And this guy is foreigner. And then is foreigner. I cannot speak Korean with him. So then I was very anxious that do I have to speak English or Chinese forever, and it's first time to meet Singaporean guy in my life actually. And I even didn't know that there's country that just have summer. I thought, yeah, I didn't know that. Do I have to move this country really? And then I was very struggle a lot. And then when I struggle and anxious, I always read a lot of books and blogs, and they talk with other people. And then even I attend all the conference in Shanghai about marriage and then the growing a children in multicultural, and then everything. So, but it's getting messier. And then I still cannot find any direction, and then I still couldn't find the answer, and I was getting anxious. And then in the conference today, the pastor said that we need silence time, the real communication. And then after that, I realized that I just talk to God when I pray. Is it okay, God? Oh, I found this. I read this. Is it okay? Is it okay? I just asking God. I didn't listen anything from God, and then so I realized that I need silence time, and then I have to I have to put everything on God, and then need to listen from God. So thank you to realize me that.
Can we have your prayer topic? What do you want us to pray for you? Two things.
So at the moment, I don't have anything to do. I graduated, and then I have no job, so I have a lot of time. So could you pray for me that I can spend more time with God, but in that time have silence time, and then also pray that Singaporean guy and I. Yeah.
What about him? Pray for him for what?
No. We will get married soon, so we find our direction. Not only me, and we could find our direction and go together, work together.
Anything you want us to tell us about the Singaporean guy?
The Singaporean guy these days is so busy, and then he really love to say, oh, I have no time, everything is hustle, and I need to concentrate work, but please spend more time with God. Yeah.
Did the Singaporean Did the Singaporean guy ask you what you received in this conference?
Ask to receive?
Yeah. Did he ask you how is it the conference? Did he ask you about this?
he just asked, enjoy and talk. And everyone in church is very good, so talk a lot with other people. Have good communication.
Oh, does he know you sprained your ankle?
Yeah, and 他说我来背你吧。
Really? Opa. Opa. Okay, let me tell you. Okay, Felicia, I give you advice now. Okay, from what you shared. I know you have been very uncertain getting married to a Singaporean and facing the possibility of probably coming to Singapore or Asia or whichever. Anything you see from the blog or internet about Singapore that is no good, is fake news. It's fake news, you must know. And, what God is telling you is, don't depend on the blogs or what you read on the internet. Go where God wants you to go. But then you will ask me, how do you know where God wants you to go, right?
Yeah.
So how do you know?
I think I can feel later.
Tell me later.
Yeah.
I give you an answer now. You go to the place where you can hear the gospel.
Oh.
You must tell the Singaporean guy about this. The pastor say, go to the place where you can be edified.
Edified.
Built up by the gospel.
Built up by the gospel.
That is true news, not fake news. Any other thing is fake news. That's the answer for it. Okay? I'm not speaking Singapore, okay? Or Malaysia. Go where the gospel is and where you can be edified by the true gospel, okay? Alright, thank you.
I'm Alan. If you guys don't know, I'm from America. Pastor Vincent asked me to share a couple things. Some things about what I received, a little bit about the ministry in America, and some prayer topics. What? You guys hear me? The last time I shared was 5 years ago, so I'm okay to come up again. I feel really blessed to come this time. Honestly, I didn't plan to come. I've been married for 3 years, and my wife is now pregnant with the third child, which is due in August. This time I've been able to come, very rarely, but I've been able to come and just receive and just concentrate fully on God. It's been a forced silence. Right? It's been really good. I've been experiencing in my life just this different stage of life for the past 3 years. And for some reason, nonstop share of trials. To the point where you go to sleep each night and you fall down exhausted, and you wake up and you're tired. And you keep on going, just daily, and you're just looking for just peace and rest. You just want to escape. And then you start trusting in abstract ideas just to feel better. Right? You think about, when am I going to get out of this suffering? When are my kids going to grow up? When is this stage going to pass? Maybe I should move to Asia because maids are cheaper, in Asia. And you just end up in this cycle of busyness. I think coming to this conference, I just, through the messages, I felt very exposed. I saw the demands of life just rise up over me in my life like weeds and just have been choking me. And how the 5 phenomenons just kind of build on top of each other. We can't really get out. That when you don't rely on Christ for everything, for anything or everything, it gives rise for weeds to grow. And it's really counterintuitive. But when you're most tired, when you're busy, when you're exhausted, when new situations come, you have to make every effort, every diligence to pursue Christ in increasing measure. So you either trust God fully by bringing all things to the light, or anything in the shadows will still fester and grow. So I feel really refreshed. I have a new hunger for the Word in a different way that I've experienced in a long time. And I feel like since the weeds have been exposed, they're able to be uprooted now. I'll share a little about the U.S. ministry. Since the remnant movement has connected with us. Since we've seen you guys, it's given us a realistic view. It's given us a different reality. It's given us hope. It's shown us a culture of young people that seek God, that love God, and they're running. We have a visual now, a vision of a mature community, and it's really encouraging. Ever since I joined this ministry in Pastor Lee's church in America, there's been a couple college students, a couple of high school senior boys, a couple of middle school and high school girls. They all grew up in the church. Their parents all love God. And their whole life they were taught by parents. So parents just go teach them the 36 messages for their whole life. So when I met these kids, they were just really numb with the knowledge of the 36 messages. You say anything, I heard that before, In the world sense, they're really, really good kids. They're Chinese American kids. But they live very, very close under their parents' guidance. With the exception of few, most in the Chinese culture in America, even though they're pretty successful, they're still always worried. Parents are still always worried about their children starving. Even my parents, they're still worried about me making enough money. I tell them I could still work at McDonald's if I have to, but they're still worried that, you know, so success is an idol for Chinese parents in America. Also, the students I work with, they're pretty sheltered, so they're pretty naive. Most of the parents have created such a comfortable bubble for them just to focus on studying. So they don't really have a concept of reality or any struggles or other trials in life. When they receive the word of God, and they're really blessed for that day. You know, you hear from their hearts and how they share, but it's gone by tomorrow. And next day, they become Sunday Christians unknowingly. Some breakthroughs. You guys know the trip last year that when they came. We visited Taiwan. We did some ministry there. They came here, even though it was very exhausting. Another breakthrough. We've been able to meet in my house every week and to start building this culture where I just walk with them. I walk with them through everything they read that week or what their friends talk about or what they see on TV or news. Just kind of give them a biblical perspective of how God sees everything. And that's slowly built, give them some understand of what God thinks about all these things. And another breakthrough was the three senior boys, they all left. They went to college. And it wasn't until this one senior boy came back last year. And he said he was trying to go to church because he was trying to be a good Christian. And he accidentally went to a cult. And that's when he realized, all the things that he was taught before he left. And so I realized, it wasn't until a lot of these kids go through their struggles and trials, maybe that's when we'll see fruit. So that's a little bit about the remnant ministry in America. Some prayers for us, some things you pray and support us. One, for God to be their first priority, for a desire and intimacy with God. That they would really build a relationship with God and seek depth for these truths to take root in their heart. And only God can do that. So if you could pray for that. Secondly, pray that brokenness would come sooner. A desire a desire to need God. And that comes with humility. Maybe it's familiarity breeding contempt because they've been around the church their whole life, but it's their idea of God, right? God has still been with us. However, I share all these things. God has still been with us, and it's a slow push though. Every Sunday, it's a slow push where you don't see much, but you just keep on going, still obeying, keep on seeking God, right? Recently, before we left, this is another prayer request. Lastly, all these kids run around after because I think the parents teach the 10-year-old, the 13-year-olds. They're just running around everywhere because parents, I think, they teach a quick lesson and they just let them play. And so I was talking about this with the kids on one of the meetings at my house, and I challenged them. I said, you guys teach these 10 to 13-year-olds now. So that's a new ministry for them. I told them to go 2 by 2 every Sunday to lead worship and give a message and pray for them. And the message will come from the Sunday message from me before. And I felt like maybe through this, they'll take ownership of what they believe. But that's another thing we're starting with them. So they'll take ownership of the faith. Yeah. So that's it.
All right. Okay. We want to ask that. Can you understand his name? Okay.
I have slang.
Okay. And because he's only representative from USA this year. Last year, many of them came in. All right. I'd like to know. Okay. Other than studies and controlling parents, as what you say, what is the hardest obstacle for you in doing a remnant ministry in USA?
In general, or just with these kids?
Specifically, your group of people.
Okay.
What is one of the hardest things? You want to let us know?
One of the hardest things.
Okay, it could be your personal obstacles also, what I mean here.
Okay.
Okay, so it could not be restrained to their problem.
All right.
It could be your struggle or whichever you think is hard for you.
Can't think of anything.
Huh?
I can't think of anything.
You personally feel any obstacles when you think about, is it like lack of direction, or I don't know how to lead them, or how to get them out of this problem, or whichever? Can you think of any, like, is there anything that strikes you? Because what I gather from you is that it's very hard because they're very comfortable, you know, these kids probably take things for granted, or plus their parents so concerned about their studies, you know. So these are circumstantial reasons, you see.
Okay.
But did you dwell more deeper about this as with the randomly? Do you see the same struggle that we are facing?
Some.
Some like what? You look at us. Okay, what is our problem?
Well, I know some people grew up in the church, and I know there isn't that. I mean, it's hard to live the Christian life anywhere, but I guess when you're familiar to all this knowledge, it's hard to keep chasing after God.
So meaning, if you're a second generation Christian, it's harder for you to sustain the grace.
I'm thinking.
You think so?
That's what I kind of see the parallels.
Okay, but there could be very blessed second generation Christian also.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but it's a phenomenon, yes, because we have tasted the grace since young, and we are prone to take it for granted. But it doesn't mean that first generation will receive grace either, right? Probably they will be more curious about the gospel and try to take it for granted in a way. But what else? What are the difference? You look at us, make a comparison, Asian ministry and American ministry. You look at the youth there, youth mamas.
Okay.
What's the difference?
The difference?
Yeah.
I think in the Singapore culture, you guys still have, I mean, a lot of you guys are Chinese, so there's still this Chinese culture you guys kind of still submit to, and you guys still...
submit to?
Yes, there still is a... we're all gonna respect. You get married. Oh, I'm gonna respect your parents and your parents. We're all gonna respect each other's parents because that's what you do. Chinese people, we respect our parents. We help. You know, American culture, there isn't this Chinese culture that covers everything.
So how does that affect the gospel, or in terms of learning the gospel?
For these kids?
With this problem. So are you saying they don't respect you as a teacher or whichever because of this American culture? So Singaporean or Asian, probably they are more respectful, so they respect Pastor Vincent or probably the leaders?
No, I think just what I'm saying there is just that you have to kind of restart this culture. It's kind of start. There's just so many other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all got to start from the gospel still. Am I right?
Right.
And the gospel, the word, the truth has to be given right. And then people to see something valuable for the youth.
Right.
Then they follow. Okay, last thing, no. Another thing, okay, let's take 2 days. Okay, he said something about American Chinese parents are very concerned about studies of the children. I think it's inevitable because they are migrants, you see.
Sure.
They have to make it. You know, so Singaporean parents also, right? Which of your parents is not concerned about your studies? Anyone, please raise your hand. Doesn't care. You fail or pass, go to school, don't go to school, never mind. Don't have right, okay. So the problem now is, if you have Asian parents like that,
Right.
and you want to do a remnant ministry, so how to overcome this problem?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyone have any solutions? Any solution from the floor? 思雅要不要讲？有没有 solution？ 慧君有没有 ？Those parents which parent here? You're not old enough, eh? Pastor Sarah don't really care. Jim don't really care. Huh? Teachers Melissa, how to overcome this problem? Teacher Melissa?
What's the question?
Okay, you see, if controlling parents or parents who are so overwhelmed with the children's studies, say for instance, even if we want to come for the camp, they will think of out of tuition, How about homework? You know, if you want to attend meetings every Saturday, then what's going to happen? And every week, Saturday and Sunday burn. So is there a problem? Even if I go to America, there are students, the mother sign them up for some programs, and then they didn't attend a conference. I'm there once a year already. So how are we going to overcome all these problems for remnant ministry? If teachers no solution, then pastor have to give solution. Okay, I mean, let's think through because this is a reality. Not all parents can take this kind of. Okay, my understanding is this. Okay, when I work with the young people, okay, say if I work with Kaisi or Hui Ping, whichever, or Jordan, both Shimu and I will pastor their parents also. And then in the midst of it, okay, we really give vision to their parents. Or even tell them how your kids are progressing. And sometimes parents like that, okay, you look at your child, okay, they are not spiritual, okay, then you work hard on the studies, whichever. But if they see evidence that their children are growing in every sense, okay, they don't mind, sometimes the grades drop a bit. I don't know. Could it be the case? They don't mind. At least they see some hope. I said people need to see hope. Yesterday I said, right, people cannot pray because they cannot see hope. Of course, you're on the higher level kind like Paul, hopelessness will drive you to pray. But most people, they need to see something. So you need to give the parents something. Because this is the Asian family culture, Asian parents culture. It's like that. Every parent is concerned about the livelihood of their children, whether they make it to the best school or whichever, and on and on and on. But actually, when you come to like 25 years old, you are almost the same. Usually, when I say that in the church, it's the same. Your PSLE, you get 180 or 250, you end up the same. Who get 180, raise your hand. This is a very good example, okay. Melissa is 250, Eugene is 180. They end up the same. Okay, we have a live example here. Same, one is a teacher, one is a pharmacist. Same, sama. Okay. And somehow Eugene drive a car now, Melissa no car, okay. Because the car doesn't belong to Eugene, okay. Anyway, but you see Melissa is okay, very balanced, okay. Okay, whichever it is, I think you cannot get that out from the parents' mind. They are just absorbed in that. But I think we have to work with their parents also. You cannot just work with the youth alone. And the parents doesn't know how they are progressing. And at the same time, you work with the youth, you encourage the parents, tell them how well their children are progressing and all. Because the parents cannot take pressure. If you tell them your children are not receiving grades, then they feel discouraged also. And then they feel, okay, then just let them come to church once a week or two, So they don't have that kind of resilience and resolution to pursue what is of spiritual yet. So you have to feed them with the right conviction and vision, whichever. Alright, so this is something for you to work on. Okay? So you're going to work both ways. If you cannot, that's why you're going to co-work very strongly with the Pastor Lee and all. There's people who work with the parents, or some more spiritual parents, you're going to co-work with them and work on the rest of the parents. Okay, so pray for us, because it's not easy. Every year, up in America, we are like half dead with the jet lag and then struggling through ministering to everyone. So we want to make the conference in America a breakthrough every year. Right? So pray for Alan again. It's not easy for him. He's expecting the third child. In fact, Mary is like 8 months pregnant now, right? 8 or 9 months pregnant. Okay, so for him to come here is a challenge already. Right? So we really want to pray for him. Okay, thank God.
Hey, hi everyone. I'm Caleb. It's me again, and I won't share too much about myself. You guys probably know everything about me. I will try to be concise of the experience that and the things that I've heard from this conference. I might not be addressing it point by point or topic by topic, but what I felt about this conference is that after a lot of prayer, I felt that a lot of times we try to make Jesus a part of our purpose, but little that we realize that what He wants from us is for us to be part of His purpose. So a lot of times we get the priority wrong. That's first thing, and that's why I think we always have a problem with not being able to be rooted. That's one thing. We are confused, and the truth seems very abstract, and we cannot get out of busyness and all of the 5 phenomena that we have talked about. So I also understand that each and every one of us, we are made very differently. But I was also reminded in this conference that we are all under the same curse. But on the brighter side, we share the same promise. So that's one thing. And regardless of what or which 5 phenomena you find relatable or I find relatable, we are still the worst sinners, but also the most precious in God's eyes. So I felt that this is a very important part of the message. I think that's kind of like hidden in between. That's the main thing that I think God and Pastor wants us to receive. And a lot of times, I felt that, especially when I share in CLCP, although it's small, a lot of times I feel that people expect too much from the pulpit message, in a sense that we are to only receive things we find relatable. Good that the message is relatable, good that it has to have an angle in every message. It might be work, it might be marriage, but I realize finding comfort and being able to relate to the finished work of Christ is above everything. Not only when a certain topic that relates to your struggle this week, because you will find coming to church every week is not enough to fill the emptiness and the desire that you need every day. So it's one thing that I heard of, and coming to that realization, it brings me back to the roots of the gospel. We have been blessed and given a gospel that helps us to actually organize the word systematically. Like we have 36 lessons and stuff like that. A lot of times we find it very boring, but that's how it is. When you don't organize the words, you can't get it out. When people ask you questions, you can't answer them. So we are really blessed that this gospel does not guarantee anything but the love of God. So it could get very complicated at times. The gospel gets very complex, you're confused, but it's really to point us back to the good news. After all the social media things that you have heard, the 5 phenomena, but at the end of the day, it's towards the good news. So in short, it's true nothing is impossible in Christ. You can taste freedom, victory, joy at its fullest, but that's when you also realize that the true freedom, victory, and joy is not solving your own problems. That's what I realized. My problems can never be finished. One today, another tomorrow. But the main problem is that is already been solved. Is we are all saved, and we have to claim that victory every day. So that's what helped me went through whatever that we are facing. So basically that's it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for Caleb. Okay, Caleb, listen up. If your problems cannot be solved, it's always there, continually. So what is the answer? How should you pursue your life even? So you just have a job now. What are you going to teach him in a way? Because he's going to grow up with problems, and you will be solving his problem a lot of times, helping him to solve problems. But and you know your own problems is always there continually. So what is the ultimate conclusion after doing this? Where should you head?
I think problems still need to be solved, but it's the process of solving the problem that matters. The decisions that you need to make, the thinking process, is it anchored on the truth? Is it based on what you have heard? The practice, does it align with the gospel? I think that's the most important part. Even if you make the wrong decision, but through testing and approving, I think That's the process is the most important part. The outcome comes later. So whether the problem is solved or not, I think it's not really that important.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like we are always, I mean, Christine and I, we are always facing financial problem. I mean, we are never gonna solve that, but it's the process that day by day, I would tell her, oh my God, this month has been a bit too tight for us, but it's us.
So it's really getting the guidance.
Guidance and yeah, and the process of having God in every decision making.
Have you been successful in this?
I believe so, because that's also because we support each other a lot in terms of that. So
You mean you and your wife, or
yeah.
you and the brethren?
Everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Caleb, we have been in the gospel for 7 years already, right? 8 years.
I think so. Yeah, around
So
there.
you have taught 36 lessons, you've learned quite a bit. But now I want to ask you critically, you think through now. No pressure, just think through. Although I know I have pressure, but think through. What are you still short of?
Short of?
Yeah. Meaning, you see, you just said that you need to be anchored on the truth and move along God, right? Of course, this is the standard answer. We know, but we have heard the gospel so many times, 36 lessons, we have even preached, learned to share the message. But when it comes to reality sometimes, we still see that if we cannot think in the gospel, we still think out of the gospel. And what is the problem? What do you think you're still short of? Speak for yourself first, then you speak for the church or the young people in general. What is missing? Where is the missing link? I want to know. What is the missing link? What didn't I get? You try to think of yourself and me, whichever, when you just hear from Pastor Vincent, hey, what is missing? What? Did you make that kind of comparison? He's in the social media, I'm also. Why he could control it? What is the missing link? You try to find out, okay?
I think it's the set apart.
The set apart
area.
Okay.
Yeah.
In what sense?
In what sense? I'm not sure if I'm ready to be a role model just yet. You get what I mean? Yeah, because I'm still short in many areas and it's pretty much exposed to everybody. So.
Okay. Or is it got to do with the way you study a problem? Meaning, okay, what I mean is when you learn the gospel, you learn in an organized way. Identity as a child of God, like purpose, kingdom driven, and then the perfect will of God, right? We learn like that, right? This is the systematic way.
Yeah.
But let's say when it comes down to financial issue or dealing with people, suddenly you find that your value skewed. Do you find that?
I would say the belief system is not my nature just yet.
Yeah, it's not so intact and smooth.
Yeah, so the first reaction will always be.
Okay, is this the problem, or is it because there are many distractions?
I think it's a problem
So
that comes from distractions. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, do you see that in Tekoa and Jeremy? Okay, Jeremy, just never mind if he offend you all, okay? Okay, but do you see the same traits in Tekoa and Jeremy?
I think so. Yeah.
What's with them? It still boils down to the application, right? When it comes to application,
I think application comes later, but what's more important is the thinking and praying part.
the thinking and praying.
Yeah.
You cannot think in the
Because
gospel.
if you think correctly, your application doesn't matter anymore.
So it's just stuck in the thinking part, right?
Yeah.
Like the first thought that come in,
Yes.
and then you are swayed by it and move along it.
Yes.
You realize you always fail in that area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we have to identify this critically, okay? So you know where you must equip yourself when you listen to the gospel. That's what I meant is, okay, when I preach, the words are intelligible. When you receive, it must be spiritual. You must hear something that you know God is speaking to you. Yeah, this is the area that you need to pray about. And then you bring back to Penang or KL. Then it edifies you. Okay? So, okay, one thing, and this is for personal edification. Next month, okay, for although Pastor Sarah is here, okay, what is your vision? Okay, let's say, okay, I would say vision. What is difficult in your view in getting the OCLCP to move along one-hearted for the gospel? Even if you're 10%, right? I've just said, just do something with substance. We need things with substance. Put up the internet, go for it, minister. But what is so difficult in your case? Because CLCP is a unique church. Okay, so in your opinion, okay, you have been through this with everyone, okay, for this so many years. So in your opinion, what is? America has its problem, okay? Singapore has its problem. You also, what do you think?
I think it's until every one of us, including myself, truly finds the pressing need to do it, and you have no life if you don't do that.
More life.
No life if you don't do that.
No life.
So it's having that purpose in everyone, and ahead of career and family. I think that's that.
But do you realize that it's not possible for everyone to see the purpose equally, the same amount? It's always one person who saw it first and he lead the rest. Do you realize that? It's always this case. I mean, for us in this life ministry, Woodkang started off first. Elder Woodkang, he saw it. Then I came along. But somehow God uses me and move forward. But you cannot expect everyone to be in the same view and see the same thing. Someone must come out and lead the rest. Okay, so this is for you all to pray, okay, CLCP. Everyone of you here, some of you must say and lead the rest along. Instead of waiting for each other. Because if you wait for each other, the time will never come. Steady or not? Stay home. Steady, huh? Where's Jeremy? Jeremy? Steady. Are you the one?
Maybe.
Not hit or shake it, okay? Some of you must start off, okay? Steady means amen. Steady means amen. Another word for amen. Layman terms. Okay, okay, that's it for you, okay? Pray for CLCP, everyone, okay? Thank God.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Isabel. So for me, I was actually very nervous before coming to this camp, and I've been attending TBR I think for 1 year plus, and it was Hui Zhen that brought me to TBR. I'm a just second generation Christian, so I've been going to church since young with my parents. But the reason why I was looking for another church was because my church is a Chinese church. So I was looking for a church to bring Siwat, because he only understands English. So, which was what brought me to TBR. And I been to church camps when I was young. I was like all the youth here, very energetic and really, really love all the games. And I had a close group of friends at that time. But as we grew up, I think we all drifted apart. Some of us went overseas to study, or some of us start working earlier. So my group of friends really dwindled. So as I go to church every week, right, I have a smaller and smaller pool of friends. So after a while, whenever there's church camp, right, I choose to excuse myself from church camp because like 哎呦没有 friend 嘞 then 不要去啦 yeah but so I'm also quite surprised how I readily agreed to come to this church camp but when the date was coming nearer and the WhatsApp group was getting more and more active, then I got a bit scared again. I was like, oh, what did I sign up for? And I don't really know many people yet. So what if like I feel very out of place at this church camp lah. But thankfully I think this church camp was, as in this conference, was a very good reminder of the truth. I think for me, part of the reason why I feel that I would have slowly drifted away from church in my past church was because I'm not fully engaged in the truth. Meaning that I could be attending church, hearing the message, but on a personal level, not really reinforcing that with God. So when things come, when I have lesser friends at church, when other work commitments come, I will start finding excuses like, oh, I'm actually busy, that's why I don't go to church. Yeah. So I even started teaching piano on Sundays. So at first it started at 12, so I can attend church and then go to teach piano. Then after that they asked me, oh, I got a student that wants to start at 11. Can you make it? So I actually agreed, which means that I will leave church early so that I can go. So I think this is life. There are a lot of things that will slowly pull you away, but if I don't hold on to what truly matters, right, then I will really just drift away. Yeah, so actually, I think after this conference, right, I'm quite convicted that I must remain in the truth. And for me, my personal prayer is to really start to read the Bible a bit more. It's like for the time that I spend on Instagram and looking at blog shops, I will spend maybe a portion of it actually reading the Bible instead. Because I think you can only get truth from the Word of God. Yeah, that is what I actually gained from this conference. Yeah.
Any prayer topic? Like that, other than praying for you to read more of the Bible?
That's about it.
Just one. Yeah. More of the Bible. Okay. Yeah. Actually, she said something very good. But before I come to that, now you said there are many children here, okay, kids or teenagers, we call them, okay? You were once like them, attending church camp. And then, very good with all of them, stay together, and then come to a point, everyone drifted. What do you think is the cause of this?
I think we get busier and we have more autonomy of life. So when I was in secondary school, if I don't go church camp, my parents were like, hey, why you never go? Everyone go. If this person keep go, you never go. Then as we grow up, we can actually argue back and say like, oh, I'm busy, I got this and this, that's why I'm not going. So we get to make our own decisions more and more.
So there is no substantial thing that pulls you all together, even as you all grow up. Can I say that? It's just fun in church. Hey, remember that, teenager? Listen to Auntie Isabel. Sorry, Isabel, okay? Listen to her. Very good experience here. Okay, that's why just now I asked Lala, right? Isabel, how old are you now?
27.
27. After 12 years, Lala, would you become like that and then all drifted apart? Because all you have is TBRC fun. You must have the word and the truth in you. That's what Isabel said, okay? Because it's easy to garner all your emotional strength and the team spirit when you are together in a camp like this, okay? But I think it's the truth that pulls us together. And then, okay. Another thing would be, okay, when you say you are very captivated by the truth, give us in a nutshell, what is the truth that you have heard in this camp that probably I sense that you say is different from what you have received, although it's the same God, okay? But
what is that truth that you said, you finally got it, that I missed the truth all this while? What do you mean by that truth? In a nutshell.
So I guess that maybe previously when I feel like this message relates to me, then I feel that God is real. But in the case, if let's say a message does not really relate to what I am facing in life, I feel that it's my responsibility to accept that as the truth and to put it in my heart, because I never know when I will need this truth. Because sometimes it's still the truth. It doesn't mean that I don't understand it, it's not the truth. But sometimes if the message, I don't really see the point of it, then I will just, yeah.
But you will grow cold in the event of it?
Cold. Maybe a bit.
Which means to say, okay, you have been hearing truth since young because you are a second-gen Christian, right? So you have been feeding yourself with relevant truth, as I said, very relevant one. Only those who resonate with, this is what the Bible said, makes sense.
Yeah.
But as for the absolute truth, it is what it is. Those truth, you didn't get it in you.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and you didn't confirm enough.
Correct.
Because once you confirm it, you know that is the truth. It always works like that.
Yes.
But you only absorb yourself in relevant ones.
Yeah, the ones that actually
that work straight
appear more relevant in my life at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is a problem for this generation. Okay, so when you have so much of relevant truth, then where does it place the absolute truth? Nowadays, people don't want to hear a very hard message. They are too absolute, abstract, or whichever. But please learn from Auntie Isabel. Okay, Isabel, okay, we've studied. Oh my God, she has some experience, okay? She has went through life enough, ups and downs, second-gen Christian, turned cold, and then after that, for some reason or not, okay, probably this guy here sitting. Okay, now the last thing I want to ask you, okay, the last thing all of you might be very amazed. Isabel said she has turned cold and probably drifted away, shifting her piano lesson, whichever, trying to find excuse whichever. But how come when you come to this critical thing, called marriage, you will not settle for, I mean, as we know Sivat, it's a new believer, okay? And what gives you this desperate sense that I have to go back to church? I cannot let myself remain lukewarm,
I think a part of me, so at first I ever had this thought that, okay lah, if Siwa not Christian, it's fine lah. I mean, he has the right to believe what he wants to believe. As long as he doesn't impose on what I believe, it's fine. But I think when I observe people around me, when relationships break down, then I realize that actually we need God and we need a common direction, so that when troubles come, we can actually pray together as a couple, which that is what I hope to be able to do with someone that I choose to spend my life with. I mean, if not, this person would just be a good friend to me on a friendship level, but on a spiritual level, I would probably have to seek other people to actually help me with that spiritual need that I need. You know what I mean?
So which means to say you got the warning signs from observing other couples?
Yeah, maybe God just opened my eyes.
To see that?
Yeah.
Really?
I think so.
Or is it Hui Chen go show you, hey, sure or not?
I think people can say, but if your heart is not open to receive, you would actually block it out.
Good.
Yeah.
Which means to say, you're really loved and blessed. Because from my experience, I've seen a lot of people who backslided in church. After they're married non-Christian, they think like what you thought initially. As long as it doesn't matter with my religion, you can believe what you believe, and all. And they fell prey to such a marriage. But I praise God that you come back and you got the truth, you know how important it is. Okay? So please welcome from Isabel Tete. Okay, and in case you met with that kind of temptation in your life and then you know you're struggling, how should you go through this? Okay, thank God for her again. I hope everyone can be edified. Or if you heard something during the camp, you felt cut to the heart, or even you feel uncomfortable, I mean, you must take it as if God's voice is speaking to you. Okay, and God speaks to everyone with a different tone, with a different attitude, but the same promise. Alright, so thank God for everything, for all the young people, and we'll see you all next year. Okay, come let's pray. So God, we thank you so much for this group of remnants. We know you have brought them to the greatest prize that is our very life. And you know our struggle, and you know our challenge. As we're living in this last generation, God, we know it's not an easy race, but it's a race that we must run. And it's meant for us, especially in this very confusing world of internet, overflowing information and busyness. We know these are just deceptions. And the deceiver is trying to deceive our heart. When we come to you and your truth, we know nothing changed as when the gospel is concerned. You're always looking to one goal, and that is to save your chosen ones and bring us back to you. So Lord, we look to you, and for all the messages we heard, communication, and all the questions we've asked, the answers we received, we know at the end of it, we still have to quiet ourselves in silence and look to you alone and go through all the challenges and struggles with you alone. So Lord, only you can help us. We look to you. We pray for all the churches, Singapore Life Church, our Blessed House, KL Life Church, Penang Church, CLC, and Miracle Church, WPC, and the youths that Ellen is leading. And we know each of them have a special place in your heart. You have brought them with the blood, and God, you are raising them in unique ways. So Lord, we pray especially for the leaders who are teaching the word. Give us a clear reason as we stand before you to serve the remnants. And make our motives right. Give us the right message. And help us to set a good example as how Paul has said it for Timothy. Let us be able to pursue you and your divine nature in increasing measure in this corrupted world. Let us not be afraid to be different. Lord, help all of us. We thank you so much. And we are very grateful that even the young kids or even the infants, the newborn, they are among us today. I pray for your blessings over them. Lord, I pray that you raise them up healthily and spiritually and to live for you for this last year around. So thank you so much, and all of us are going back. We pray for journey mercy. Some of them going, picking bus and plane, guide them along the way. Keep speaking to them, Lord. Thank you so much. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.